Hi, I'm Seamless, and this is the 20th 75k tutorial. This one was requested by a person that I have over here, phazednb, and this is an overwork sound. Overwork sound, it sounds like this, and the one I got sounds like this. Neat. So the overwork sound obviously is layered with a more crunchy bass, and that's fine. And if you want to know more about that, I suggest that you check out How to Bass 15, kind of a long time ago, but it was actually more or less, it was actually pretty much about that, because that was when I was making the track sometime, and it was actually directly inspired by an overwork track, and it was pretty much that sound. I didn't go about it the same way, but the bass relationship with the chord at least was something that, you know, is pretty similar. However, this sound is kind of interesting. It's your basic kind of organy thing. I used Citrus, and I did some specific things with it, but here's the thing about it, and the thing is that you don't need to really do what I did. The organ concept is about sine waves. It's about a bunch of octaves of sine waves. You can see here the chord that I made is, you know, gigantic, but the way that I made this chord is I actually just made a stack of sine waves like this, and like if I wanted to make a 1-5-3 chord like this, I would basically do it with the stack. Control C, Control V, boo boo, Control C, Control V, and then, you know, you get a big chord, which is a bit different than this. You can tell that the chord distribution is a little bit different, and that's just because some of the voices are inverted versus some of the other ones, and but it's still, you know, a D minor chord. So that's that one thing. And if I really felt like it, I wouldn't have had to do what I did here, where I added extra harmonics onto the sine wave. I could have just pasted this up a whole bunch of times. Well, not that many times, but enough times that I could have gotten that sound out of just a pure sine wave. And what I did in Citrus was a bit of a shortcut about that. I also added a little bit of distortion, and I low passed it to kind of EQ it a little bit, and I added in some white noise just for fun. There's a built-in wave shaper inside Citrus, and then I put it in the next filter. You can see here it is this next button. It makes it so that the filter 1 and 2 are now serial. And then I put in a low pass. It was pretty high up there just because the actual sound, which is mostly a product of the MP3 encoding, doesn't really have a lot of high frequencies up there, but it's pretty okay. And then also some white noise to kind of even out the higher ranges, because these are sine waves, which means there's not a lot of diffusion happening in the higher frequencies. I'm also using 2 voices of unison, panned almost all the way. Pretty much all the way, actually. Yeah, all the way. Pretty much straight up all the way. All the way across the sky. It's so intense. Now, the way the harmonic thing works here, I actually very specifically used square wave harmonics instead of saw wave harmonics. Square wave harmonics are every other harmonic versus saw wave harmonics, which are every harmonic. That's the difference between the two series types. And the reason why I did that is because you can even kind of see it sort of changing into a square wave a little bit. The levels aren't exactly the same, but that would require it to be a square wave. In fact, if you wanted to see, we could show you what a square wave looks like in harmonics. That's what it would look like. So it's slightly different, but the harmonic presence is the same, which is what matters, because that's what gets us extra octaves of harmonics. This would be like, each of these harmonics doesn't necessarily represent an octave, because the first one's an octave, and the next one is a fifth, and then an octave. So the black colored lines, the darker lines, represent octaves. So that's an octave, that's an octave, that's octave, 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 octave. And so like in between here, there's somewhat different. There's different notes. There are fifths and then sevenths, that kind of thing, and then they get into divisions that are not actual notes. So some of these higher ones would be a bit difficult to pull off with just pure sine waves, but for the most part, you more or less could have. It's basically like creating, at least at the very high frequencies, very interesting chord voicings, which, you know, the higher frequency you go, the denser you can have a chord and still have it work versus a lower frequency note, that kind of thing. So anyway, to kind of recap, sine waves, harmonics, distortion, white noise, low pass filter, and that's it for this sound. I hope that made sense to you. I was attempting to explain that in a way that should make sense, that you could do that with more or less anything, because it's just sine waves, and that's what makes an organ sound like an organ. Sine wave octaves. Anyway, I'll put up this patch for download. And if you have any questions about this, please let me know. If you'd like to make a request yourself, please do so in the Reddit thread linked in the description of this video. Requests made anywhere else will be ignored. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And as usual, have a nice day.